Hello there everybody, how's it going and how have you been? Welcome back to SpaceChem. In the last episode we finished our first two research missions here on, I'm just going to call it Flidais. And I did take a peek at this level, but considering the episode was already 40 minutes and it's building a whole benzene molecule from scratch, I decided to just go ahead and leave it for this time. We did get the story page as well, just because it showed it to me when I checked the level last time. Now, I will admit, I have been thinking about this level a bit, and I have a plan. And it feels a little weird to do that for a research level, but considering I'm going to be trying to tackle the two production levels in this episode as well, it's probably better that I did, just so that we aren't spending quite as much time on it. So, first things first, I'm having Red actually start down here for once. He's going to call in and pick up hydrogen, and then connect it to a carbon. And for the most part, Red is pretty much just going to be making these little hydrocarbon pairs. Now, what I would like is to, let's put them up along the top. Do you want 3 bonders in a row? So, let's see, Red's holding onto the hydrogen. So what he needs to do is bond, move it all forward and drop it, and then try to pick up here, I believe. And actually, does he need to? Admittedly, when I was figuring out this level in my head, I had carbons coming in at beta and hydrogens coming in at alpha, so I'm trying to flip my design. Let's just see what happens. Oh, well, first off, I actually do need him to loop. So there's the first one, there's the second one, and what? Oh, he's okay. Admittedly, I did not see that coming. So, the idea was to get him to build half of the benzene before blue took over. And to do that, I'd need a single bond between 2 of the carbons and a double bond between the middle one and the other side. The problem is that by leaving the first 2 on a pair of bonders, when he builds the third pair, that reinforces it to a double bond, and then just because of how the bonders decide what order to make bonds in, it reinforces the double bond to a triple bond and makes it impossible for him to connect the third pair. So, what I think I'll do instead is just use 2 bonders, and this should build half of the benzene, albeit with 2 single bonds instead of a single and a double. And that is actually fine, because I can get blue to take care of it from there. So how about I have him run, or hit a sync command. This will slowly let blue tick forward. Now, so I want the double bond on the left. Well, it doesn't have to be, but I'm going to do it that way just so that I can keep this as a good reference. So grab it by there, And actually, I bet I can make things simpler by just moving these bonders over. Hit a bond plus here so that reinforces one of the singles into a double. And then I want these last bonders to be in another vertical pair so that he can connect each half. Now, first time through, he's making the bottom of the benzene, so you can just go ahead and leave it down there. Second time around, however, he's going to be making the top. And because the top is upside down, I need to bond the other, the middle carbon to the other side. Ooh, and then I think he might possibly bump into the lower half. I don't know what it is about Flidais' puzzles, but I'm just having so much trouble trying to visualize them. So there we go. And sure enough, he builds the bottom half correctly. Now we just have to wait for red to build the other half. And now the trick is going to be rotating this guy on its head. And if I just start rotating it here, well, if I rotate the carbons clockwise, then they will collide, but if I rotate them counterclockwise, they won't. But the idea is to make him just go through a little loop. Actually, even though the original idea was to use the same rotate command, why don't I just put 2 down? I think this will work. Let's see. And nope. Okay. Oh, well, hang on. First of all, I don't want him going on this layer, because he's holding onto a hydrogen, not a carbon. So I think this will work. Or rather, I don't even have to have him come all the way down here. Come here. There we go. Oop. I tried to pause, but I missed my chance. So, good news is that he aligns the halves of the benzene correctly. Bad news is I can't reuse this bond command after he leaves it with the upper half. So why don't I just have him grab onto a different part of the same molecule? So he puts it down here. Let's just say turns down, bonds. Now I will have to grab it by this side. No, I can grab it here. Wait, no I can't. Never mind. hang on. I think I keep confusing myself in my own head. Alrighty. Puts it down so he doesn't crash it into the wall. He bonds it, and hopefully this does not interfere with red at all. Grabs it right here by the upper layer of carbons. Comes back to bond it again. He will bump into his old drop command. But then there will be hydrogens here for him to grab. And from there he just pulls it so the whole thing is in psi. And now there's no room for an output command. Is there anything I can quickly move? Or I could take the simpler option and just go around the drop command. So then he just has to put it down here, get rid of that, and place these output side. Okay. So we know it builds the benzene halves correctly. And yep, he puts it together. Red does have to wait a little bit while blue is doing so, but at the very least this does keep one of them from interfering with the bonding process of the other. So let's just go ahead and finish the level and get on to the production levels. Sure. Now, this is part of why I really wanted to speed through that research level. The pipes are laid out for us. The reactors are laid out for us. We cannot move them, rearrange them. We can't do anything to these guys. We have to work with the setup that the game has given us. So, for this level, we are given 3 different carbomegas and hydrogen gas, and we have to make omega pseudoethene? Pseudoethene? That looks right. Okay. Now, I remember this level being particularly troublesome. So I'm just going to give a quick overview, and then I'm going to go straight into the time-lapse, because I have a feeling the time-lapse is going to take me a pretty long time to work out. But the basic idea of what I'm going to do is I will figure out how to process any of these carbomegas down into single pairs of carbon and omega. And then for each one that is passed forward, I will send 2 hydrogen gas as well to get the 4 hydrogens that the omega pseudoethene needs. Now, I'm keeping it simple because, quite frankly, I don't remember. I do remember a little piece of this level, but I don't fully remember how I did it. So I'm going to go ahead and time-lapse here, and I'll see you guys on the other side of it. Okay, wow guys, I am back. That was a very long time lapse, as I'm sure you probably noticed. And to be honest, the solution is pretty complex. So, not even going to try and go into the particulars of this reactor, but the basic idea is that Red will determine and process any of these carbomega molecules, and by using this sensor to determine whether he's got the one that will make 3 pairs or one of the two that will only make 2, both he and Blue will follow an entirely different section of their track. And once Red has processed the big carbon and omega molecule, Blue will send an appropriate number of hydrogen gas molecules to the next reactor. And this guy, he's kind of weird, but basically Blue will run along, picking up or calling in whatever appears and picking it up. And I know for a fact, no matter what comes out of the other reactor, because I'm going to be frank, the carbon omega pairs are going to be in all different orientations, he will be able to grab it. Now, if he has a carbon or an omega, he'll just run up here and dump it out of Psi, which, as you might have noticed, just loops back around into the same reactor. If he has a hydrogen, however, he turns Red on and they will begin processing it into an omega pseudoethane. Blue will handle the first hydrogen gas by just breaking its bond and spreading it across the 4 bonders. Red has this weird loop, and this red loop right here is the one bit of this level I remember. What this will do is it will make it so no matter how the carbon omega pairs are dropped off in Psi, he will spin it around and figure out, if he's holding onto the omega, there will be a carbon on his right, and he'll just leave. If he's holding onto a carbon, eventually the omega will be resting on the sensor, and he'll go down here, flip it, lay it down so that it's in the correct spot, and then trade off so he's holding onto the omega. So this will basically regulate it so that the pairs are always going to be oriented correctly, and he will always be holding onto the omega. And as I say that, I realize that I forgot the all-important rotate command right here, which will make him continuously spin the 2 atoms around until he figures out what he's holding onto. And then this whole mess right here is to just bond it to the first set of hydrogens, which will reinforce the double bond into a triple bond, and then spin that around so that there's room on the bonders for Blue to mostly position the other 2 hydrogen, process it, all that. So, let's see if this crazy contraption works, because I did not test it at all. So, our first big molecule is this guy. So, shoot. Okay. Now, I don't have to worry about the stack of 4 atoms leaving, because part of it is not, because it's not completely contained within Psi. So, let's see. Yep, there we go. And, yep. Now, oh, shoot. I need a sync command on this branch to start up Blue, and then a sync to actually make Red wait. So, alright. Quick bug fixes are no problem, but if a more serious problem arises, I will definitely be probably cutting, to be honest. So, yeah, Blue's basically just sending 6 hydrogen gas to the other reactor. Now, I'm actually going to just reset things here so that we can watch this guy run. So, yeah. As you can see, blue's just simply moving the carbon omega pairs over into psi. But now, he's going to get a hydrogen. And when he finds that, red's awoken. And now, red will gradually go through this loop. Will take him a while, but he'll figure it out eventually. And, oh, there we go. He figured out that he was holding onto the carbon, so he took the appropriate action to switch over to the omega. And now, hey, would you look at that? Would you look at me completely forgetting to put down the final output command? Okay, let's try this again. I keep panicking a little bit because I keep glancing over at my clock and it says 47 minutes, even though I know, like, almost 30 minutes of that is going to be time-lapsed away. Actually, quick math. I think I'm technically only around 21 minutes, maybe? So, we might have to leave the other production level for its own episode, believe it or not. Now, the other thing is that because I've designed this reactor so specifically, I will... Oh. Okay, what's... Oh, I don't want this sync here because this output command actually is not needed anymore. So, yeah, I want the sync that activates blue and deactivates red to be right at the end of his loop. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, hopefully now, this reactor is as convoluted and complicated as it is so specifically designed that for every carb-omega pair that blue sends out of psi, 2 hydrogen will come in at some point for that pair. So I will never have to worry about him trying to call for a hydrogen and a carb-omega showing up instead and throwing everything out of balance. So I do want to watch this reactor, actually, and make sure that red can process these two, honestly, they kind of look like Tetris pieces. Crap, what are you doing wrong now? Oh, I think I only need... Hang on. I think I've got my syncs out of balance, so... This is the sync red uses to tell blue to switch to whichever track is appropriate. Be it the one where he sends 6 hydrogens, if it's the one that will make 3 pairs, or only 4 hydrogens, if it's the one that makes only 2. This first sync way back here is to send blue out of this part of his, or to tell blue to start. So, yeah, actually, I think I need one more sync command for blue. And the quickest way I can see to do that is to bend his track like so, and use this one sync command to reactivate red, I believe. Fourth gas, the 5th gas, and the 6th gas. Okay. And there we go. Okay. So we know they handle the upside down a hook carb-omega correctly. Can I get a different variety? Okay. And yeah, he handled the L-shaped Tetris piece. And you can see that things are definitely plugging up just because the other reactor is running quite a bit slowly. Yeah, looks like he handles the bent one as well. Excellent. No problems, no crashes. And I'm honestly very proud of this determining loop that Red follows, because I remember spending hours trying to work out how to do this. And as a little anecdote, actually, I remember the first time I played this level, that evening, my family and I went out to dinner, and I remember actually in between the conversation still trying to figure this part of the level out, this bit that gets Red to, you know, figure out how to handle the Carbo Mega Pair. I remember still trying to work it out in my head even while we were off at dinner and I was nowhere near the computer to actually experiment with. But, I'm quite happy with the solution I came up with for that. I feel like it's quite beautiful and elegant in its own strange little way. So, how about enough of my blabbering, and we just turn on speed 4 and let this run. Here we go. Now, I'm trying to think. It has been, we're at about the 24-minute mark. Let's take a look at sigma ethylene. So we have diatomic sigma. We have hydrogen. Ah, yes, this is the level I told you guys about, where we have access to the fusion lasers, and I tried to experiment and see if I could fuse anything into sigmas. So you know what? We're at 24 minutes. Let's not run overtime. This level will probably get its own little video all to itself because, again, I do remember what the boss is here, and I remember the how to beat him. I just don't remember how exactly I set things up to beat him. But I'm 90% sure, at least, that for his level, we do get to place our reactors down and drag around the pipes as we see fit. So, on that note, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all had a great time, and I hope you all had a great day. I will see you all in the next episode, and farewell for now.